Welcome to Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. Our first Reddit post is from Rogumisanthro. Employees' lunches are their personal property, and the company is not responsible for lost or stolen personal items. Nobody likes a lunch thief, and I had one of the most aggressive at my office. There were rumors for a few months leading up to the inciting incident of someone going around and taking people's lunches. Just about every day someone different would complain that their lunch was missing. It even happened to me once or twice, but I figured, hey, it's a big office, a few people are probably just careless and grab the wrong lunch and are too embarrassed to bring it back, or someone else packs their lunch and they don't know what's in there, so it's not obvious they have the wrong one, or whatever. Most people just brought brown bags with their names on it anyways, or identical Rubbermaid Tupperware with a little piece of label tape on the side. It was easy enough to mix it up. I had accidentally grabbed a wrong lunch once or twice, but it noticed before I got it open. I thought I was just more careful, or even just not as busy as some other people in the building. However, other people weren't as forgiving, and a quorum made complaints to HR. They were blown off. Personally, at the time I thought it was all much ado about nothing. But then it began. My wife enrolled in a French cooking class online, and just about every day I was bringing fancy gourmand leftovers in for lunch. You'd think I was picking up a to-go bag from a Michelin-starred bistro. On the way in each morning, she really threw herself into the coursework. There were no problems for about 2 weeks, maybe 3, until one day my lunch went missing. Considering what delicacies I had to look forward to, I was pretty miffed, but I did a once-over around the break room and didn't see anyone eating my lunch, so figured someone grabbed my bag by accident earlier, saw how good things looked, and realizing it was their lucky day to bring it back to the fridge. I wrote the mysterious stranger off as an asshole, but accepted the loss and looked forward to dinner that night instead. Next day, I write my name on my lunch in extra bold lettering, jam the bag into the back of the fridge, and feel peace of mind. I get there come break time, nope, it's gone. I was pretty upset, but I figured it was a stroke of bad luck and left it at that. What else could I do? However, third day, out of an abundance of caution, I kept my lunch at my desk. A pain because I had to eat it fairly early in the day to avoid spoilage, but at least I'd know where it was. I got up to take care of some business down the hall, and when I came back, yep, my lunch was gone. Unfortunately, that didn't help me narrow it down much at all because my desk is centrally located, so Ivrion's constantly passing by. At that point, there was no possibility of the theft being arbitrary, so I approached HR and filed a complaint. Their response practically verbatim. The following day, my wife packed a cream-based soup that really had to be refrigerated. I was passing by the break room to check on my lunch practically every 5 minutes. Somehow it still managed to disappear. I was irate at this point and returned to HR and really blew my top. The best they could do was send a memo around about remembering to check the name on your lunch when you remove it from the fridge, but they made very clear that it was a routine memo and in no way related to my complaints, which were not their jurisdiction, so not an admission of responsibility because my lunch was my own personal problem. The only suitable alternative to packing a lunch available in the building are these wretched shrink-wrapped ham and cheese sandwiches from a vending machine. I've been marinating in the heat for God knows how long, and the bread is as stale as corkboard, and the meat is rancid, and there's gluey mayo smushed into the center. It's a relic of the old office tenants, I'm pretty sure. I vented daily to my wife, but her only idea was to start bringing a regular sandwich and apple again to dissuade the thief and get him to move on to other lunches. So determined to prevent this low-life scum from downgrading the quality of my lunch, I hatched an elaborate plan. Then the pandemic hit, and I forgot all about this whole saga. I worked remotely for months and months. Then we returned, and after all that had happened globally, this was the last thing on my mind. But I got to the break room the first day back, frustrated from having to wear a button-up and tie after months of working in pajamas, sore from my desk chair, and exhausted from small talk, only to find my lunch was gone. This was a particularly sore point because my wife and I divorced between my last lunch and work and the present one, so I did not appreciate being reminded of any past threads involving her. I pretty much flew into a blind rage at that point, especially seeing that stupid worthless memo about checking the lunch bag names posted in the break room, feeling so helpless and so hungry and so alone as it was me and my lunch against the world. I stormed out and was determined to return the next day with a plan. So I came in the following day with an empty lunch bag, and I checked closely to be sure no one was watching, and I switched the contents of the HR person's lunch bag into my bag. So now their lunch appeared to be my lunch. I'd packed a regular brown bag, so I just discarded that, and I left and I waited. I knew this was a pretty big gamble, because it was contingent on the theory that the thief was avoiding me while having lunch, but not wary of anyone else. So would eat out in the open if there were no risk of bumping into me. So I made a big show of going around the office announcing that I was headed out for a meeting, and I won't be back until at least 300. I even went to the trouble of moving my car out of the lot to a space 2 streets over, where I then sat in my car and worked remotely for several hours before sneaking into the building up the back stairway. I then sat in the stairwell just outside the break room, where you can hear chatter can't be seen, and after about 20-30 minutes of waiting I heard it. The sweetest sound you'll ever hear in the office. HR, what the heck, Kyle? That's my lunch. Lunch thief. Nah, it's not your name on the bag. HR, give me that. I'm assuming grabs bag and sees my name. HR, yeah, let's head to my office for a chat. The HR rep later called me in as well and said they were aware of my break room hijinks, but it was obvious that the point still came across loud and clear. They warned me that it was a violation of policy to move another employee's lunch. It took every ounce of self-control for me to keep from retorting I thought our lunches were our personal property and the company was not responsible for them being lost or stolen. They informed me I'd located the thief and things would be handled accordingly. But better than whatever write-up they might be able to issue, Kyle. His reveal as the lunch thief occurred in front of the whole break room. So word quickly spread as to who had been stealing Ivrion's lunches earlier last year, and he is now the office pariah. He was in line for a promotion. The promotion is indefinitely off the table, and I also earned brownie points for exposing him, though more than am satisfied with are being attributed to HR. At the end of the day, though, I didn't do this for this credit, or even the sweet revenge. I did it to get my lunches back. This comment is from Masuk. It's not my problem until it affects me personally. Said HR probably. This comment is from Tornadorottor. Exactly this. HR had us put a security camera in the area where the fridges were after their lunch got stolen, but not a second before. This comment is from Durkay. It's not a problem until it affects me personally, sadly. Now, a word from today's sponsor. Make sure to donate to my Patreon down in the description below to get early access to videos, participate in special patron-only events, and other goodies. Any amount of money is greatly appreciated. It makes it easier for me to make the content that I love making, and I know you guys love too. Now back to the video. Our next Reddit post is from Dwasifer. Try to bully me, new boss. This will be your shortest job ever. Back in the day, I worked as an independent consultant and was hired on along with another independent to subcontract on a team for a major consulting house. We'll call it CH. Everyone else on the team was a CH employee. The two of us were not supposed to tell the client that we weren't part of CH, but the client figured it out pretty fast because we independents were doing most of the work while code monkeys were busy filling out spreadsheets all day and going on team-building exercises. But I digress. The project ran past its initial deadline, and my contract expired. I stayed on a week-to-week basis as a professional courtesy to get the project finished because I liked the client if not the team. Unfortunately, the CH project manager was booked somewhere else for his next gig, and they brought in a new guy to replace him. Let's call him David Stress. David flew in on a Monday morning to get the project handed off to him and immediately started pissing on everything to mark his territory. He was derogatory and belittling to the team and liked to raise his voice. I was working in my office, well, actually a closet with folding tables that I shared with 3 other team members, and didn't hear what he was saying out in the main room, but I could sure hear his tone. Then he burst into the office and demanded, "How are we doing specific payroll-related conversion task?" I said, "We are using Program X." He waved his hand dismissively and scoffed. "That's stupid. Program X won't work for this. You need to do something else." The other indie was in the room at the time, and she saw me coming up out of my chair. She told me later she thought I was going to deck him. I knew he was full of shit because I wrote Program X. It was custom code for this project, and he had no way of knowing what it would or wouldn't do. He was just trying to bully me and be the alpha dog. I did not deck him. Instead, I went to the client's payroll manager, with whom I'd been working closely for months, and who was driving the client's side of the project. I laid it on the line. I said, "Look, I know you know I don't work for CH. I'm here on an independent contract. That contract is up, and I've been working here week to week just to get you guys through." She told me she was aware of this. Okay, this new guy, David Stress, is a bully and a blowhard, and I won't work with him. I have no contract at this point, and with him running the project, I won't be back next week. I'm not asking you to do anything specific about it. I'm just letting you know as a courtesy so you can plan to transition my work to someone else. She sat back in her chair, thought a moment, and said, "Okay. Thanks for letting me know." 2 hours later, David Stress was removed from his new position. The payroll manager, faced with losing the one technical guy on the team who actually knew what was going on with a very complicated payroll system, called CH and said, "We don't want this new guy, take him away." CH rearranged some things to keep the original project manager with the project. The funniest part of the whole thing was that CH had scheduled a welcome dinner for David at a posh steakhouse that evening. Rather than create the further embarrassment of canceling the dinner, they actually went ahead with it as a farewell dinner for David, who had been on the project for less than 1 day. It was fun to watch him try to put on a brave face for that. Yes, I did stay with the project to the end after that, and yes, they went live successfully. This comment is from All-Time My Brain. Wow, well done. But also good on David for actually showing up at the dinner. This comment is from Dwasifer. Thanks. Not showing up would have been an acknowledgement of defeat, and he was too egotistical for that, so he came there to brazen it out as best he could. The thing is, what I told the payroll manager was entirely true. I really was just letting her know I would leave the project if I had to work with him. The revengey way it turned out was a nice validation, but I really wasn't specifically trying to get him fired. I didn't think I had that kind of leverage. So this revenge was almost by accident. This comment is from Bill Bixbiakok. I knew he was full of shit because I wrote Program X. It was custom code for this project, and he had no way of knowing what it would or wouldn't do. Oh man, I love these situations. I have a semi-pro revenge story where I trusted a bullying coworker who was first-tier help desk but acted like she ran the place with information about a problem and what I thought would fix it, but that I was too scared to try. Per usual, next staff meeting she takes her shot. She explains if she's given admin access, That was Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. If you like this content, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you are notified of new uploads. We upload new videos every day. Also subscribe to our Patreon, as that will help us a lot. See you next time.